Hi there, boys and girls. Tonight's lesson is lesson 8.3, Connecting Fractions to Division. Our essential question is, how does a fraction represent division? That's what we're going to be working on today. Go ahead and turn in your Go Math book to lesson 8.3. Let's read this division problem together for number 1. It says 6 students share. Now share is my clue word that we're dividing. So 6 students share 8 apples equally. That's another clue word. How many apples does each student get? So you're dividing up 8 apples among 6 students. So your equation will be 8 divided by 6 because there's 8 apples dividing into 6 groups or 6 people. So you can actually look at the fraction bar as a sign to divide. So it would be 8 divided by 6, which is also a fraction greater than 1 whole, because it can be changed to a mixed number. So let's think. If there's 8 apples and there's 6 kids, you already know each kid's going to at least get 1 apple because there's 6 kids. So here are my apples. Each one's going to get 1 apple. But now you can see we have 2 out of the 8 left over. Now because we're sharing it among 6 different people, I'm going to cut each one of these apples into 6. Okay. So each person can get 1 6 from each of these. Okay, so we have 1 6 plus 1 6 is 2 6. And that is also known as 1/3, because if you look at this portion right here and you stick it right there, that's actually 1/3 of a whole. That's why 2 6 is equivalent to 1/3. Now we learned back in 4th grade that whenever you have a fraction that's improper, you just divide. 6 groups go into 8 one whole time, and then you have 2 6 left over, also known as 1/3. So question 2 says 10 boys share 7 cereal bars equally. I see that clue word, share and equally. So 10 boys are sharing 7 cereal bars. So to write this as a fraction, well, you just write how many you're sharing among how many groups. So it's going to be 7 bars divided by 10 people. So that means if 10 boys share 7 cereal bars equally, what fraction of a cereal bar does each boy get? They're going to get 7/10. And here's a picture to show you why. All right, I went ahead and drew the 7 bars we're talking about. We're dividing them equally into 10 parts because there's 10 boys. So when I cut them into 10 parts, if each boy gets 1 part of each bar, that's 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10. So this model shows you why 7 divided by 10 is 7/10. Now for question number 3, it says 8 friends share 12 pies equally. I see share and equally. Now they're sharing 12 pies, so that's what you're dividing. That's our dividend. So our equation will be 12, which is how many pies. We're sharing them or dividing them equally among 8 people. So that's where our equation is 12 divided by 8. So how many pies does each friend get? Well, 12 divided by 8, we would write as a fraction 12 divided by 8. Remember, this fraction bar represents divided by. So it's 12 divided by 8. Now you can see that it's an improper fraction. So let's go ahead and change that to our mixed number. 1 whole and 4 eighths, or better known as 1 1/2. And let's talk about why. Here's the picture. Okay, so here's the model that I created. I went ahead and made 12 pies. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Now we can assume that each person gets 1 whole pie because there's 12 pies and there's 8 people, and that's where we get our 1 whole. Now you can see that we have 4 pies left over. We want to share them with 8 friends, so I cut them into 8ths. And now each friend will get 4 parts of those, because look, here's one person gets these 4 8ths. This one gets these 4 8ths. 4 8ths, 4 8ths, 4 8ths, 4 8ths, 4 8ths, and 4 8ths. There's 8 friends, and they each get a half of a pie, also known as 4 out of 8 parts. And that's where we get 1 whole and 4 8ths. And remember, you can check this with multiplication. 8 times 1 is 8. There's my 8 pies, plus 4 more equals 12, and they're cut into eighths. So let's take a look at question 4. It says 3 girls share 8 yards of fabric equally. I see the word share and equally, and they're sharing 8 yards. That's our dividend. That's what you're dividing. So we have 8 yards divided among 3 friends. So it's 8 divided by 3. So we write that as a fraction as 8 divided by 3, or 8/3. Now let's go ahead and change that to a mixed number so we know how many yards of fabric each girl will get. So if you treat this like a division problem, 8 divided by 3, think of how many groups of 3 can go into 8. I know 2 groups of 3 can go into 8, and there will be, because that'll be 6, and there's 2 left over. All right, so let's go ahead and show why with the model. I'm starting off by creating 8 yards. Here are my 8 yards. Now we know if we're sharing them among 3 girls, I know each girl can get 2 yards so far. 1, 2, 3 girls can each get 2 yards. So what's left over is we have 2 yards left over. So I'm going to now change that into fractions. Remember, there are 3 girls to share the 2 yards among, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these into thirds. Now, if each girl is going to get 1 part of each of those, that would be 2/3, because there's 1 girl, 2 girls, and 3 girls. So let's make this last one green. So do you see how, let's say Sally, we'll just call her name Sally. This will be, she gets these 2 holes, and then she'll get this orange section, which is 2/3. And we call it 2/3 because it's 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. All right, let's look at number 7. It says 12 students share 3 pizzas equally, so we know we're dividing. How many pizzas are there? There's 3. So it'll be 3 pizzas divided by 12 friends. What fraction of a pizza does each student get? They'll get 3/12. Here's a model Y. All right, so I went ahead and drew the model, and I made 3 pizzas, and I'm cutting them each into 12 because there's 12 friends, so they each can get 1 slice from each pizza. So here's going to be 1/12, 1/12, and 1/12. So let's say that's 1 person. So 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 equals 3/12. Now we can also simplify that and call that 1/4. And here's why. Imagine that you would take this piece right here plus this piece and this piece. And let's say you just put these 2 right here in this spot. If you were to look closely, that resembles 1/4 of a pizza. All right, so that's why 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. All right, for number 8, it says 3 sisters share 5 sandwiches equally. I see the word share and equally to tell me I'm dividing. Now there's 3 sisters and they're sharing 5 sandwiches. So 5 is what you're dividing. It's your dividend. So our equation is 5 divided by 3. And you write it like a fraction just like that. Remember, this fraction bar means divided by. So how many sandwiches does each sister get? If there's 5 whole sandwiches and they're sharing them among 3 friends or 3 sisters, they'll each get 5/3. And let's go ahead and see the model Y. Now, as you know, this is an improper fraction. So remember, to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, you divide. 5 divided by 3 is going to equal 1 whole and 2/3. And here's why. Each sister is going to get 1 sandwich apiece because there's 3 whole sandwiches right there. Now there's 2 sandwiches left over. So I'm going to cut them into thirds because there's 3 sisters to share them. So let's give 1/3 to one sister, and the other sandwich, she gets the other third. So 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. So a sister will get 1 whole sandwich and 2/3. So let's go ahead and take a look at our problem solving at the bottom of the page. Number 9 says there are 12 students in a jewelry making class and there are 8 set of charms. What fraction of a set of charms will each student get? Now remember, there are 8 set of charms and there are a total of 12 students. So we're dividing the 8 set of charms among 12 students. So our equation will be 8 divided by 12. So to write that as a fraction, you just put what you're dividing, which is your dividend, divided by 12. So each student will get 8/12 of the charms. You can also simplify that. I'm going to divide my numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor, which is 4, and each student would get 2/3 of the charms. And here's a model of y. Now let's pretend that each one of these is the set of charms. All right, there's only 8 sets, but there's 12 students. So you know that you cannot give each student one whole set, which is why our fraction is less than one whole. But if I were to divide each one of these charm sets into 12 parts, then we can give each student one part of each of the sets. Okay, so here's my picture. I just went ahead and divided each one of these into 12s, and I shaded in 1/12 for each one because one student would get 1/12 of each set. So you do 1/12, 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, 5/12, 6/12, 7/12, 8/12, which is why 8/12 is the answer. Okay, for number 10, if you want to try this one on your own, you can press pause and then check it with me, or you can just do it along with me. For number 10, it says 5 friends share 6 cheesecakes equally. Now remember, there's 6 cheesecakes that they're sharing, and there's 5 friends. So how many cheesecakes will each friend get? Well, we know that there's 6 cheesecake total. That's how many they're sharing, and you're dividing it among 5 friends. So what would be our answer? Well, all you have to do is write it as a fraction. 6 divided by 5. So each friend would get 6/5. However, that is improper, so let's go ahead and change that to a mixed number. Each friend will get 1 whole cheesecake and 1/5 of the last one. And here's why. Okay, I went ahead and made 6 cheesecakes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now each friend's going to get 1 apiece because there's 5 friends, so they each can have 1 whole. But now they're going to split up this last cheesecake. Now because there's 5 friends that you're sharing it with, each friend can get 1 of those pieces. And this is why each friend would have 1 whole and 1/5. Okay, so go ahead and turn your Go Math page over to the back side, and let's look at questions 1 and 2. These are going to be the 2 that you'll be doing that are similar to what we just had on our video. And then go ahead and do questions 3 through 6 for your own practice of review work. And when you're done answering your 2 questions, write either 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the top of your page, depending on how you feel. And we will check these questions tomorrow in class. Have a great night. Bye-bye.